I don't see us on Facebook yet. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Criminal Justice Insider. I'm Babz Rawls Ivy.
And I'm Jeff Grant. And Babz, I don't see us on Facebook Live yet. So we'll make sure Harry knows about that.
Well, he's in the space. And this show is made possible by the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven.
Our dear friends there. Yeah.
We want to thank them for their continued support of this little show called Criminal Justice Insider. Welcome, Hall of Change, Grade 8.
What up? We have been waiting for this for so long.
No, we talked about it every.
we started talking to Charlie about this last winter.
Yeah,
and of course he gave us a little bit of inside scoop on Babz being inducted back then. But Charlie, when we first started talking, we didn't know how we were going to get everybody into the studio.
Yeah,
and Charlie, you're on mute, and I guess God had a way of putting us all on together.
Well, the amazing thing about it to me is when you're faced with challenges, just like the Grade 8 over their lifetime, you find ways to make it work so that the good work comes to the top. Cream always rises to the top, Jeff.
Nice. So we'll be with you all in a minute or two. We just have a little bit of housekeeping to do. So Babz, how you doing?
I'm good. You know what? I'm good. The weather is a little janky today, but I'm good. I'm good. I have my health, I guess. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Loving the guests we have for Criminal Justice Insider already. I'm getting all kinds of great responses, which which maybe we'll get a chance to talk about at the end here. And if not, we'll just push it over till next time.
And how's your podcast going?
White Collar Week is doing so.
It's no longer a week. It should just be called White Collar like forever.
Well,
not forever, but like a week.
We did test it over the summer to see whether or not it would get some traction, and now I'm just doing it in the off weeks when we don't do Criminal Justice Insider. So I'm blessed to be able to do both, and thank you for teaching me how to do this, Babz, because I had no idea how to do this.
Listen. Everybody knows you're a quick study. You are a quick study, so But
so why don't we move to our guest today, because we got a lot of them and we're so excited to have everybody here today.
Yeah, let's start with the man with the plan, Charlie Grady.
And Charlie, if you would do us the honor of introducing everybody, that would be great.
So yes, it is absolutely my pleasure to introduce the first ever inductees into the Connecticut Hall of Change. Mr. Robin Cullen, Miss Larese Harvey, Daryl McGraw, Michael Askew, I want to make sure I say it right, Kelvin Young, and Iran Nazario. Those individuals that I just named are pioneers in this industry of reentry, and them being recognized not only in the Hall of Change, but also here today on this show is just the beginning of the continued success and work that they've been already doing for many, many years in our communities. But now it's time for them their voices to be elevated and for them to actually unite and come together. I'm excited about having these individuals working together, moving forward. They've worked together in the past on a lot of things, but now as a collective community, as the Great Eight, there's no end to how far they're going to go. So please, I ask everyone who's listening within earshot or eyeshot of this, please show your love for the Great Eight.
Woo! So, Charlie, when you had this dream, when this was just a gleam in your eye, what were you imagining? I know we had you on and you were kind of talking a little bit about this, but we didn't go into great detail. So when you imagined this, what were you thinking?
So the idea, as I indicated on the show that we did on September 20th, literally came to me as a result of being frustrated and tired of people that had a criminal justice background, having to be labeled at all times. And it's simple. Most people, you don't have to say where you came from to get a job. You don't have to say what you went through. You didn't have to say, well, I'm divorced and that's why I'm getting a job. You don't have to say, whereas with individuals who are formerly incarcerated, the labels are always there. And so initially, I literally sat in bed watching 10 o'clock news and saw an individual come up on the screen who I knew and knew him to be a father and a brother, and more than the title that was given to him, which was a career criminal. And so it just rubbed me the wrong way, because I work every day with individuals who are remarkable in Hartford, Waterbury, New Haven, Bridgeport, and other cities. There isn't a city in this state that I haven't touched on working with individuals formerly incarcerated. And to witness that, for those people who don't know any better or are at home just watching the news, they're being fed a false narrative. Yeah. And so I literally said, I think that we should turn around that imagery and change. And those people are not celebrated when they're doing great things. So let's turn it around and celebrate individuals who have overcome obstacles. I mean, normally the average person has obstacles trying to find a job, but can you compound it and imagine when you have a criminal record and these titles and labels that follow you throughout your life? So my goal was from that moment forward to literally turn a negative into a positive and highlight individuals who have been doing phenomenal work. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it, but it came to me that we have this Hall of Fame for people who have played sports and done great things. Why not have a Hall of Change where we highlight those people who really have done significant contributions to a community that they once were involved in violating? So that's how the whole thing came about. And after that, it was a matter of putting together a team. And I put together a hell of a team because no one makes anything like this happen by themselves. For sure. And the rest is history.
Hey.
That's beautiful, Charlie. So Babz, this is your crew.
My people, my cohort.
I don't know whether to treat you as a guest or a co-host here. I don't know what to do.
We the cool kids.
Right. Here we are, for sure.
Right. So why don't we just start and go around the room and give everyone just a minute or two just to give their just to give their appreciation or talk about themselves for a minute. And Babz, if you want, you can kind of lead that because you're an inductee with all these people. Is that all right?
I think as I had time to think about this, because I didn't have opportunity to gather with them in Hartford. For a whole bunch of reasons that day, just was not in the cards. The gods were against me that day. But I was so grateful that they allowed me to, and I had already videotaped my piece, but I was so happy that I got a chance to sort of share my congratulatory remarks. I think as I've had time to think about this, I love the fact that we're getting good press. Like this is getting good press. Like people are talking about this and thinking about this part of criminal justice with a much better lens than before. Like there's more to the story than like going to jail and then getting out of jail. Like there's a whole trajectory, and it just made me happy to know that there's more to this story for all of us than what has happened to us. And people get to see that and celebrate and just, understand that, yes, good outcomes can happen if things are put in place to support this particular community. So
That's right.
I'm just very happy.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Babz. And one of the things I don't think people understand is that we all know each other. We've done all kinds of things interactively together, and sometimes it's socially, sometimes it's in our justice work, and so it's really not surprising to me that you 8 got chosen. I mean, if I were going to choose the 8 inductees, it would be pretty much this group. So I just want to applaud you all. With your permission, we're going to go first to Larice, because she's preparing for a wedding today, and I don't know if she can stay with us so
Congrats. Yes.
Thank you.
Larice, my darling, how are you?
I am fabulous. I'm phenomenal, phenomenal woman. That's me.
Right.
This is a first for us, Jeff. This is another first. The first time me and you did something like this was at Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Yeah, I remember.
Taking a risk into making us do that dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And with Robin, it's another first, because me and her were the first ones who came home when toured with Wally Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And Babz is the first, and Daryl is the first. So it's like I got a couple of firsts with a bunch of y'all, and then I worked with Michael and Kevin with Band the Box, and the statewide Band the Box. So yeah, I work with pretty much everybody. And
I do have to say, just for our audience, Larice, that every once in a while you come over here and do yoga with us.
Yes, I do.
So we get to see
my chakras up. That's why I gotta keep love in my heart. It's too much.
That's what's up.
I want to project love always.
So
I love that.
So Larice, tell us what's going on with your new organization and with Tracy and everybody, and how that's all going.
Okay, so Tracy and I started. Tracy and I were incarcerated together in 1993, and I left in 1999. And we pretty much, our formative young adult years was raised in DOC. And it does have an effect on you in your later years on how you relate with people, how you build relationships, how you think, there's just a lot of stuff. And I had been home at the time me and her reconnected almost 20 years, successfully. And when I got around her and started talking to her, it was like I was home. I finally felt like I belonged in society again. And we and her, it just dawned on us like, we need our own thing. We're going to call it Once Incarcerated, and we're going to start having Zoom. Well, we were doing meetings at the libraries originally, but now we have twice a week, Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings. We have Zoom meetings for Once Incarcerated. We call it Once and Anonymous. And it's for formerly incarcerated people only, because we got a different kind of struggle. And we got a different kind of appreciation and gratitude for the small things of life that I think people miss because they concentrate too much on what we did to get there. And it's for young people, young incarcerated people, formerly incarcerated people, and older formerly incarcerated people, and for their families. Because you know what? Families kind of need help understanding what it is happening to their loved one coming home. They might want some insight on that or whatever. Because of that, we started working with youth who were either been incarcerated already or on their way at OIC in New Britain and Paradigm in New Britain. And we created implicit bias, civic, and advocacy manual. And it's a real manual. Like, I can train people and then they can take it, make the copies they need, and use it in a classroom, use it in like an advocacy training or grassroots lobbying training. And it's specifically for Connecticut. And so that's what me and Tracy were doing. We got videos and stuff. We just need people to, you know, we 501c3, so any donations, tax deductible. We just need people to hire us, and we only charging to do it. It's like a 6-week thing, and then if you get a good issue, we follow you with the issue all the way to the Capitol, and maybe go, you know, DC, because I think big all the time. And I have Civic Trust Public Lobbying Company, which is a nonprofit, members only lobbying organization that only does grassroots lobbying. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. And I'm working on book 3 and 4, because Button's journey, my first 2 years living with PTSD, people didn't understand what it was about until they got into it. And there's like, it's about my trauma and how my trauma, before prison, my trauma in prison, and my trauma after prison, and how once I became so successful and I felt like I didn't have to have that extra adrenaline for surviving, I started having this seizure disorder caused by PTSD, and I lost pretty much my mind. But as you can see, I got it all back, praise God. And it was just like, that book is more about what it, like I told you, I expose myself is what I do.
Okay,
and
so Sharice,
it's all good. It's just all good.
Larice, we got to run down this panel.
Sorry, but I get excited because it's so much, and like
I know, girl, I know, I know,
but
we got to get to everybody.
I never thought I was gonna get out of once again in my life, but it was in here, and I'm just saying, like, that's what that book is about, and it's important.
I love it.
That's beautiful.
It.
And any of you who wants to, if you want to promote your books, anything, just email it all to me. I'll put it all in the show notes, and we'll put it all on Facebook and everything, and we'd be happy to do that. Michael Askew. So I'm going to try to go in alphabetical order. Michael, it's so good to see you. How are you, and how are your things at CCAR?
Oh, thank you, Jeff. It's great. Thank you for inviting us, Babz, and certainly to Charlie. I want to just once again thank Charlie for his vision and certainly his commitment to want to make this happen. And I certainly believe that it's going to go around the world. I think this is going to be an opportunity where we not only can raise awareness, but show the true power and resilience of people like the Great Eight that makes a difference, not only coming out of a prison system, but throughout their career. All of us here sitting with you have not just did 1 or 2 or 3 things. We've been really engulfed in supporting the reentry and certainly the prison system, and making sure that it's becoming one of those systems that is not just confinement, but just providing education and healing and certain things. But you know, I'm grateful that CCAR has been allowed me to have a platform, a national platform, but more importantly in the state. You know, early on, I was able to do some work in the prison system through the 12-step fellowship. And that's where in like 93, 94, I started bringing 12-step meetings into Bridgeport Corrections. And then I started going around to other prisons doing 12-step meetings. And then CCAR was able to allow me to go in and create an initiative called Prison Support Group. And this was unlike a 12-step fellowship. This is where men really wanted to talk about where they're at and what to expect when they were being released. So we started talking about resources and fatherhood and how to build relationships and things that really was necessary for someone to feel that they could make a difference coming out that system and being engaged back in the community. So CCAR gave me that opportunity early in the mid-90s, and over time, you know, my experience has been like a lot of us, you know, being spokespersons for events or just creating initiatives or partnering with other organizations and being part of this collaborative, like the Bridgeport Reentry Collaborative Roundtables in our communities, and having a voice for the voiceless, and making sure that we're representing the people that can't speak for themselves when it comes to concerns and issues that people that come out of prison have. So I'm grateful. I'm like, just to be one of the grade 8 out of how many, Charlie? 400 people?
Wow.
I can't imagine anything more. And I'm getting ready to retire in about 2 months. So what a cream on the crop for my time being in Connecticut these last 25 years working in this field. Thank you.
Michael, I think you should put it to a vote as to whether or not we're going to allow you to retire.
Hey, my wife ain't having it.
Well, yeah, Michael, I haven't seen you since you won the Ertang Torres Award as Reentry Person of the Year a couple of years ago. So I'm just, we're so grateful for the time that you've spent in Connecticut, giving your heart and your soul to all of us, and you're a beautiful person. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff. One of the highlights I won't forget is at the time in '96, I was doing some work with Weed and Seed, which is a federal initiative, and they had them in a few communities. And in Norwalk, Connecticut, where I was working with the criminal justice system for youth, getting them exposed to being able to come out in the community and doing some different type of activities and helping, elderly, disabled, handicapped people. We actually was able to be part of the DEFY program, which is drug education for youth, which educated children in the communities. And then we would take them to Camp Rowland or Nyack, the governor's camp up there for a week. And I got the call from then U.S. Attorney Steve Robinson, and personally saying, Mike, because I was on the Weed and Seed Steering Committee, and he would come and be in our meetings from time to time. He says, Michael, you've been nominated to receive a U.S. accommodation from my office. I said, well, what did that mean? He says, well, this is going to be you and about 30 other people on stage receiving an award. I says, oh, wow, do I need to put a suit on? But just to realize over the years, and I don't say it as boastful, but I've received some prestigious awards, not only in Connecticut, but outside of the state. But this one in particular, being inaugurated into a hall where people are going to recognize me for years and years on the work, like Babz says, that, I didn't do this for pat on the backs, but over time, I just did it because my passion was really wanting to help people in a disenfranchised situation that I came through understanding almost 31 years ago. Being released from prison wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. And if I could do anything to help that, that's where my passion lies.
That's beautiful, Michael. Thank you. Thank you. Robin, staying in alphabetical order. Robin Cullen, so good to see you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Babz and Jeff, for this opportunity. And again, congratulations to my fellow inductees. This is a big deal for, just in this field that wasn't even a thing at one time, right? Mm-hmm. There was, I think someone invented the word reentry. I can't remember the story. I heard it a long time ago, but, there wasn't even a thought to what people do when they get out and, all that kind of stuff. But, the thing I think about often is that, I've been, this year I was 20 years that I'm home from incarceration, and, the only time I've ever gone back is through the front door, which is, in itself, another thing that never, wasn't ever happening before with people who are formerly incarcerated being able to go back inside. Mm-hmm. And so, I think that there are some really important things that I try to just keep kind of focused on, because this is so huge, because it's, when we try to figure out what's really going on and we look at the root causes of how people get to prison, it's systemic. It's not just, oh, somebody committed a crime and let's slap some time and there is so much more to the story. So the thing I try to focus on, there's a couple things. I try to bring awareness to trauma, because when we look at men and women who've been incarcerated, they have, I think it's an average of 3 experiences of trauma in early childhood, whereas people who aren't incarcerated don't. So that's a big deal. That leads to substance abuse and other, and then we have the whole column of mental health in general, where we don't have the facilities that people need to get the proper care. So prisons have become that's its own thing, huge. And so, there's a population of people working on that thing. So, there's so many big things that I try to keep coming in on. What are things to focus on? And one of the things early on, when I went to prison, I was like, what the heck is this? Because it's not what I thought prison was. I was 34 years old when I went to prison, so I wasn't a kid, and had quite a bit of life experience at that point. And I thought, I was looking at it from a taxpayer's point of view, and I said, wow, this is not what I thought our tax dollars were doing. And so there is so much more that we could do as a society when we talk about just the financial piece. We talk about the mental health piece. We talk about the addiction piece. There's so much more we can do, but people don't know, because I figured I came from a middle-class background. I wasn't in any trouble all my life until it all came crashing down. And then I had, this inside view of something that was very different than what I thought. And I said, well, other people must not know that. Other people who are the taxpayers, and because I don't think people would be okay with knowing that this is what we think is happening and this is what's really happening. So my focus was really to just tell people what my experience was, because I was in such disbelief, like, well, what the heck? So, I've spent a good amount of time talking about it, because people can't make any changes if they don't know there's a problem. And so in the past 20 years, I have seen the, slow change, but it's because there's been a raising in awareness. And so I feel like that's part of the focus, the trauma, the addiction. I run a women's sober house here in Killingworth. And, I think that when people come out, if they're not focusing on recovery, whatever it is they're recovering from, that leads to the recidivism. And so we need, I just think that the things I'm focusing on come out to being that we need community support. We need people to change their perception of who those people are and know they're us when we don't have support. Because people end up in prison when they don't have support and they're left to their own devices. And it's survival that has become criminalized. So I think that's the biggest thing I've learned over the years, that, we continue to criminalize people who need help. They need a leg up and they're trying to survive. And if we get in there and help communities, move toward healthy community and partnering and agencies, there's a ton of agencies that are willing to help, but nobody knows what each other's doing. So the networking, all those kind of things. So, I'm just trying to be part of, like I've said before, part of a solution rather than the problem. And every day I have to wake up and concentrate on my sobriety, making sure that I'm keeping my side of the street clean. That comes first. Yeah. And then I can go out in the world and, team up with, like I said before, the cool kids, people making differences. And, we gotta do this. We're all in it together, whether you've been to prison or not. It's a worldwide issue. And so, I'm just trying to do my part, and I really appreciate, Charlie, this, initiative to get us all together and bring some recognition also. I know none of us were looking for that, but, bringing more awareness to reentry is a big deal.
All right, we have to move this along a little bit.
All right, thank you, Robin. In alphabetical order, we're going to get to Daryl next, but before we do that, I want to give 2 quick shout outs. First, what is to Andy Tebow, the city editor of Republican American in Waterbury, who invited us 4 years ago, Robin, to speak at the Hartford Library with the Commissioner Semple, and that's when I first heard you speak, and you were brilliant. So congratulations on all of that. And second, Daryl, Babz and I are doing a special edition of Criminal Justice Insider live from the Trauma and Reentry Conference run by the Connecticut Women's Consortium. And Daryl, you are one of the keynote speakers at that conference. So I want to, we're very excited. We're very excited. We're going to be there, and registration information can be found on Facebook, on our Facebook page. And so take it away, Daryl.
Thank you. I won't be long. You know, I actually, I'm just always excited and humble just looking at the screen like, wow, you know, I'm in a room with some superheroes, each and every one of you in your own right, you know, man, you know, and I didn't get a chance to thank Charlie Grady for, you know what, a lot of times people forget about us and they don't think about us. And man, we talk about what you're looking at is resilience on the screen, and to see somebody to be so resilient and getting this go off the ground, like he fought tooth and nail, shout out to Cassie and the rest of his team, that really said, you know what, we're gonna make this happen for you guys. You know, I get chills just thinking about it because nobody does that. You know, the first thing they tell us is, you know, I hope you learned your lesson, you know, or, you know, I hope you're doing good. You know, I got people that still say, oh, you look good. What the hell does that mean? I've been doing this for a long time now. You know, I work hard, I should look good, right? So a lot of times people say that as a reminder to remind us where we were. It's not a compliment.
Yes.
You know, it's not a compliment. It's to remind us where we were, you know, and sometimes those reminders come from family. So, you know what, I'm glad to be in this room with this family because we don't have to remind each other where we were. We are a reminder where we are. And, you know, so I'm honored and privileged to be in this room with everyone and just making this thing happen. You know, Connecticut has no problem locking people up, but they have a problem figuring out how to let people go in the proper manner. And each one of us has dedicated, not working, but dedicated our lives to creating a successful reentry pattern, whether it be through yoga, peace, women, trauma, however you want to do it. You know, we want to help make sure that you get out and stay out. And that's what we've dedicated our lives to do. So to be recognized for that, you know, that's almost like getting recognized for breathing air, because this is what we do. No matter, I don't need an award. I need to get up and make sure somebody can get out and stay out and be a dad and all that, you know, and a community member, and have the opportunity to vote for somebody when there's somebody worth voting for. I didn't say that. You know what I mean? But we're going to I want to end with the fact that, you know, each and every one of us that have been incarcerated have been through what they call the AP room. And it's a place where they take all your stuff, they take everything from you, and they give you a new identity and new clothes. Mm-hmm. But when you get released from prison, there is no AP room. There's no AP room. Yeah. They take this time, they take your freedom, they take your dignity, and release you with nothing. We are trying to change that. And, you know, my colleagues in the grade 8, you know, we're creating an AP room out in Connecticut and in the world. We're going to make sure that you get all your dignity back. You get your clothes back. You get your family back. That's what we're trying to do. So thank you so much. An honor and a pleasure. I might have to jump off because I got another one I'm going to, because that's about employment and education after incarceration. And that's key, man. We got to make sure that we keep spreading this message everywhere. But I'm going to stick it out as long as I can. And I love you all. Thank you so much.
Make sure you tell them to take those holding rooms out the schools, please.
Okay, Larice. Listen, you know, we can get on something together. We can jump on something together, man. You know that.
Thank you, Darren. And we're really grateful that you have internet connection all the way east in New London, because, you know, I know you just got internet last year.
Yeah. I'm in Norwich, so it's a little further back, man. We using that pedal wheel with the water. Exactly. You know, we out here. We out here.
Before we get to Iran next in line, I just want to make sure that we acknowledge Tahiba Bain, who couldn't be here with us today. But Tahiba is a fierce criminal justice advocate and a 3-time guest on Criminal Justice Insider. So we love her, and we are very glad that she's a part of the Grade 8. So Iran Nazario, you are next in alphabetical order, and Iran, it's so wonderful to see you this morning.
Oh, good morning. Thank you, Babz and Jeff, for having me here this morning, and congratulations, great A, big ups. You know what? This is the breakfast of champions right here. You know what I mean? This is what's good right here. I'm feeling real good. But I just wanted to extend congratulations to
We
you
should
all.
just
You all
gather every
amazing.
morning like this.
You already know, breakfast of champions. I don't need anything else. I mean, I feel like I did everything. I'm all swole, looking all, feeling all right. But definitely excited to be here with all of you this morning. I would be remiss if I didn't also just thank Charlie Grady for his amazing vision in making this work. I heard just the stories of all these champions, kings and queens that are here today. But we have, as I always say, we have so much work to do. We can't rest on the awards. We can't rest on the laurels of the awards. The facts are there's suffering happening every second that we have to continue to dedicate ourselves to ending as best we can. So, for me at the Peace Center of Connecticut, I call them my pillars of service. Our youth leadership development, our community outreach and community engagement, our professional development, and our awareness. I mean, the facts are that we have to be these faces that people unfortunately associate with negativity. We got to flip that. And the only way to flip that is to force them to see us every single day, every second. So as Darryl mentioned, it's like breathing, man. You wake up and you feel energized to do and go out and achieve the purpose that you've been given and blessed with. We survived whatever tribulations we had, death of our friends, death of our families, incarceration, torment, torture, all of that. But guess what? We're still shining. We're still looking good. Other than melanin, amazing on this screen. And the facts are is that we are designed not only now but based on our ancestry. We are designed to be able to overcome, and we don't want to keep suffering. But we're designed. So bring it at us. We're ready to go. I'm just going to be brief, real quick, because I want to talk about the fire that was kind of instilled in me by my mentors, because I think that at some point we all, whether we like it or not, mentoring someone. Someone is watching you every second. They're watching what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're behaving. So my mentor, Professor Michael Borrero, remember when he instilled the fire in me to get out here and reach out into the community and give back. I'm still in the gang. I'm rocking my colors at the University of Connecticut, and all these professors are looking at me like, look at that kid with his bandana on, his beads on, walking the hallways. Like, what is that? It was a culture shock for them and a culture shock for me. But the facts are that that's where I was at. But what I learned about that is that I had a spot, I had a place, and I had to go out and I had to show other brothers and sisters what they could be exposed to. So from the beginning, I started hiring people who nobody touched. Back at the Institute for Violence Reduction, I was bringing in gang members from different gangs, 20 Loves, Nietas Kings, to the University of Connecticut to start working with me at the university, because I felt like, look, we can all get a piece of this. We can all figure out a way to heal our community by getting invested and learning about what these opportunities are. And then I was hired by this project called the Yo Hartford Project. It was a 5-year grant in the city of Hartford, and I became the chief recruiter in the community. You know who I hired to help me recruit kids on the street? Formerly incarcerated. Because guess what? There's no hole on the street that we won't go into. We are like dedicated to getting out there. We're not afraid of our own people. We're gonna go out there and do what we got to do. So for 5 years, all we did was go out there and recruit young men that were in the darkest spots of their lives and getting them invested in work and getting them back into education. And then for 14 years, I spent my life at Peace Builders, which some people know about. And I was the first responder supporter for the hospitals, responding to shootings and stabbings of young men that unfortunately were involved in the violent lifestyle on the street. And for me, that kind of continued to spark my interest and desire to become a leader of an organization. So I think for me, this is a lifetime journey. Interestingly enough, my first interaction with law enforcement when I was 12 years old, it was really negative, and I spent the next 17 years involved in the criminal justice system. But when I was in prison, I refused to celebrate the mindset of that I was a tough guy in jail. So I started a letter writing program for teens, telling them how sad and miserable I was, telling them how lonely I was, because I wanted them to understand that I wasn't running the block. I wasn't the biggest dude, that I didn't have the most girls writing me letters, that I was struggling and I was miserable. because that's an angle that the most people don't take. So I wanted to be clear about that. So for me, this forever, and I'm going to close with this. I think that what the Hall of Change does, it changes the narrative and the discussion about who we are and what we are capable of. But we don't have to say it. You walk into a beautiful museum, and on the wall is the stories of kings and queens like all of you who are doing incredible things. And there's no longer just one side to this. Those that oppose re-entry or reform are going to have to deal with the fact that there's something in writing that they can't contest, that they can't force somebody else not to read. And that's what I'm most excited about, that this is forever going to change what I feel is how people treat us and act and give us opportunities. So thank you so much for having me today, both of you. Thank you so much, Charlie, Grady, big ups. Grade A, y'all looking amazing. Like I said, this is a beautiful team. I look forward to working with you all in the future. Peace, peace.
Iran, thank you. Thank you. So we're going to go to Kelvin, then Tahiba, then who's just jumped on, then back to Charlie, and then Babz and I'll sign off. So just if you could just keep it to 3 minutes each of you, that would be great. I'm sorry for the rush, but we, Kelvin, take it away.
No problem at all. Thank you so much, Reverend Jeff and Babz, for allowing me to be here today. And thank you to Charlie for creating this space for all of us to be together. And the Great Eight, honor and to be a part of this illustrious team of people dedicated to doing the work that we do. Again, my name is Kelvin Young. I'm a community health worker at Intercommunity Healthcare. I work in a transitions clinic, and I work with returning citizens coming home from prison, and I connect them to different healthcare services, primary care, behavioral health services, and addiction recovery services. I also have the pleasure of being a certified sound healer, and I go to different places throughout the country and to offer sound healing sessions. I've been at the prisons. I work with MII, and I work with different other facilities here in Connecticut. But one of the most important things for me that I like to share in any platform that I go to, because I think it's important for me to share, is that I'm also a person that's in long-term recovery, which means I haven't used alcohol or any other drug to deal with my emotional distress since March 6, 2009. And after many years of battling with depression, anxiety and drug addiction, I found freedom from alcohol, from marijuana, from cocaine, from heroin, and even prescription opiates. And I began my healing journey in that Tier 3 program in prison. And it was within this prison program that I learned about the transformative powers of yoga, meditation, even creative expressive arts like poetry and journaling. And I had a lot of misconceptions about yoga, about meditation, especially doing it in prison. But I know the things I was doing prior to going to prison, it wasn't working for me no more. So I had to try something new and different. And by stepping out of my comfort zone and utilizing meditation and sound healing as a vehicle to go within, because I truly do believe that healing begins from within, I was able to find a sense of calmness and inner peace, even being in a very hostile and restrictive environment such as prison. But most importantly, I was able to understand the root causes of my experiences with addiction. And from that lived experience, I learned that it was the unhealed emotional pain that I experienced, the unprocessed trauma that I endured, and the toxic chronic stress was at the root of my addiction. So I was reaching for something outside of myself to find a sense of relief from that distress. And for me, I found it in alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and prescription opiates. And it worked for a while until it didn't work, and I got caught up in that very vicious cycle of addiction. Yeah. But that was a very powerful learning experience for me. And I could sit here today and say I'm grateful for my experiences with addiction, and also grateful for my bids in prison. I did 4 prison bids throughout my life. And I'm grateful for those experiences, because if it wasn't for those experiences, I wouldn't be the man that I am today. And when I truly think about it, how can I truly appreciate the sunshine without experiencing the rain in my life? Yeah. How can I truly appreciate the good times in my life without experiencing the so-called negative times in my life? Mm-hmm. And like a beautiful flower, it needs both the sunshine and the rain in order to grow. And I believe the same concept applies to us as human beings. We need all of our experiences in order to grow in our life. And I believe that, for me, addiction is a human experience, not a human identity. Because behind the so-called addict, behind the so-called alcoholic, is a human being that experienced a significant amount of trauma, emotional distress, and toxic chronic stress, and looking for a sense of relief from that distress. And I'm so grateful. So grateful.
I
Thank
am
you.
grateful for your ministry and your
You know I could go on. You know I could go on.
I know. That's why I had to jump in.
Babz is like the band on the Tonight Show. When they start playing, Tahiba, now our fourth time Criminal Justice Insider guest, Tahiba Bain.
I think you're the one to beat Tahiba.
You got Tahiba, you got 3 minutes, then we're going to Charlie, then back to me and Babz.
Okay, great. I just want to say thank you guys. I'm sorry I'm running a little late. I'm actually on another conference right now, in the Free Her conference, the 2020 Free Her conference, and I had to open it up. It was sprung on me last minute, but it's okay because you make things happen. However, this is great. This is great. I'm here to be with the Great Eight, right? We are the Hall of Changers, amen. And I'm just so excited. Thank you, Charlie, for making this happen. We are a great set of people. Who am I? I am Tahiba Bain of Women Against Mass Incarceration, founder and executive director thereof. We're here and we're based in Bridgeport, but we're looking to be statewide, to working and advocating for women and on behalf of women and helping women re-enter into society successfully. How does that look? It's different for every person. It's not the same. It's not a cookie cutter model of re-entry. So we work according to the person in which we have in front of us at that time. We do meetings. We do advocacy, we do legislative awareness, and we also just, work within the communities to help rebuild the communities. I'm looking for next year to be an awesome year, right? And being inducted into the Great Eight in the Hall of Change, whew, that has done something for me that I didn't expect. Right, because I'm like an engine. I just keep going and going and going. And I go here and I go here and I go here. The work gets done and then I move on to the next project. The work is done, then I move on to the next project. And I don't never ever really have time to celebrate the accomplishments thereof. And with this being, implemented and created and me being inducted with all you great people, I was able to actually breathe a little and see that celebrating the accomplishments is not a bad thing. It's not a boastful thing. It's not a prideful thing. It's a needed thing. Yes. And it doesn't just, it is. And I had to think about this in a whole different light because that's not what I do. That's not why I do the work. But in order for the work to continue to happen, we have to start highlighting the achievements thereof. And even on a smaller scale to the largest scale. And I'm so grateful and honored and humbled by this, that my work, it has actually given me, it added more coal to my engine, right? And I'm now rebooted, and I'm like ready to go. And I'm looking forward to doing work and collaborating with anyone on this platform that's doing the work, because men and I unapologetically and intentionally advocate for women. I work with men, but my thing is women all across the board, because we're different. We have different needs, and I am one of those women that endured the plights and the traumas and the heartaches and the conditions of re-entering into society as a woman with a violent conviction. It's not easy. Right? I don't have a non-violent conviction. That's a little easier. But I have a violent conviction hanging over my head, looming over my head like that sword. And I know the plight and the pain that we go through. And that's why I do the work that I do, because I don't want the woman that's coming home behind me to have to go through what I went through. And I want to try to keep as many girls and women from going into the prison system. So I work from preventive measures and during measures like preventive care while you're in there. So it's a before, during, and after. And I put my heart into it. I put me into it because I am them and they are me. And that's why I do what I do. So I appreciate this. And I'm not going to cry because I have makeup on, but.
Me too.
Yeah, okay. But I just want to say thank you, Charlie. Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity and this moment and these moments right now, because it's great. And to be here with Babz, to be here with Larice. Larice was in prison with me. I was in prison with her, should I say. I came through. And just a quick story, and I'm gonna shut up. We were sitting there, and the people had sent a message to the house where she was at, where I was going, to harm me. And she knew about it. So when I got there, she figured who I was, and she gave me a heads up as to saying, you know, be careful, because they got, you know, people are looking to hurt you for whatever happened in Overflow. And I'm like, okay, great. Because, and without that heads up, I don't know what would have happened. But because I had that heads up, I was able to be prepared to protect myself.
I'm glad I did that, yo.
So when she came on back on scene, I was like, I know you. And I told her what happened. She was like, yeah, that was you. And that was in 1993, 94. Oop, I'm dating myself, but it's okay. But that's what happened. But it's great. Robin, Daryl, Iron. I'm just meeting Iron and Kelvin. I know Daryl. Me and Daryl been on this trek for many, many years. And Charlie, you know what? I'm so happy that I actually met you. And Jeff, I'm not gonna forget you. I'm not gonna forget you. Because you, my sir, I was like, who is this guy and why is he here? Because you know, you're the white guy in the room. And I'm like, oh no. But then I realized, and I heard your story, and I was like, in the room. And so and Michael, I want to thank you, because I came into CCAR and I met you and I heard you speaking, and you led me on the path to where I need to go. And I've been there. I've been going ever since. So thank you for your guidance, and thank you to everyone, and God bless.
Thank you.
All right, Charlie, we're going to come back to you for 1 minute, then we're going to say goodbye. I just wanted to say one thing to anybody listening out there. And especially people who have no experience with people who have been justice impacted. If you think you know what someone is who's been to prison or been through the justice system, listen to these people this morning. This will change your mind completely about what it is to be someone who has been through the system, come out, and been working for the greater good. There's not one person here who could possibly be what your image is of someone who's been to prison. Right. Okay. If you watch TV or you watch any of those crazy shows, this is the real deal right here. This is what it is. So we love you. We're so glad you're with us. Charlie, you got a minute, then we'll come back to me and Babz.
So Jeff, you actually said all that I was intending to say, which is all of your viewers and your listeners just got to witness the brilliance that is the Great Eight of 2020. There's no better way to describe that. Society paints a different picture than reality. Perception versus reality is something that that came to me. I need to make sure I do my part to change that. And I'm asking everyone and anyone who's within earshot of this to do your part, to make sure that when we talk about, reentry, and we talk about these terms, there are human beings behind these, and they're brilliant human beings most often. Right. In order to survive the streets the way they have in years past, and survive being incarcerated and come out and make the adjustments mentally, emotionally, to be able to survive and persevere. That's a brilliant person. And so I'm just glad that everybody that's tuned in, they had a chance to see it. And I just want to leave you with this. Imagine this Great Eight, and I'm going to set it up. Imagine this Great Eight heading down to DC and having a voice representing the state of Connecticut with issues of incarceration and the judicial system. Imagine this Great Eight every year hosting Great Eights from around the country here in Connecticut. Imagine, and if you can't imagine it, let's get together and work on it, because that's where I'm headed with this whole idea.
Let's do it.
I'm with it. Let's go. Yes.
So Babz.
On top of it while you playing, I done talked to a couple congressmen already. Come on.
That's what I'm talking about.
So Babz, I got to tell you that this is my favorite episode ever.
I can tell.
By far.
I can tell.
And the fact that we get to spend it with all these beautiful people. And Babz, I have to end with just thanking you for being my dear partner and being on this ride into our fourth season now. And the fact that that when Charlie called me up and told me that you were one of the Great Eight, I was like bursting with pride. And that's true for everybody, by the way. But we had to hold it a secret. And so I love you, Babz. I love you all, but Babz, thank you. And I want to give a shout out to Andrew Kaplan and Lynn Springer.
Our loves.
And to Harry Draws for being on this ride with us. And just one quick blessing to God, to Father God, Mother God. Thank you for the opportunity to shine a light on all of us and to show what people who are resilient and resourceful and caring and can overcome great hardship to deliver the message in the work that we need to make this world a better place. So amen, and thank you to all of you. Thank you,
Jeff.
So nice to see y'all.
Thank you, Jeff and Babz. Thank you for all that you do every week.
Thank you. Thank y'all. I'll see y'all soon.
Yeah.
Gather us, Charlie. Gather us for that next level.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Community Foundation for Greater New Haven.
We love you.
Thank you, everyone and all. Love you all. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.